Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Teri at Holding Your Space, and Nancy Jean is here today.
Sitting
Nancy
in the
Jean's
garden.
Yeah, welcome, Nancy Jean, and welcome, Debbie and Linda and everybody else that's coming in. Um, so, we have an interesting show today talking about who we are and what we
Mhm.
see ourselves being and what we see ourselves within others, because we do see ourselves in others, don't we?
Right, right. We
Yeah,
take their opinions a little too highly at times.
yeah, yeah. And I think sometimes we were talking about this backstage. I think sometimes we don't um, recognize our opinion of ourselves
No,
and our judgment.
it's, with me this last week or so, it's not been my opinion of myself. It's been that somehow or another, don't ask me how, all my chakras got screwed up. And Dr. Gale finally Saturday said the reason you're falling down all the time is because your body's not connected. And I did a couple serious meditations and rehooked the machines up, and I'm back. But it wasn't until I came back that I realized how quickly I'd fallen into. And guys, when I say my chakras were closed down, the only chakra that was working was, of course, the throat, my mouth. Yum, 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 yum. Um, but it was completely, they were not connected and were not talking to each other or talking to anything from my neck down, and my third eye and my crown chakra were getting fuzzy. So, um, and the thing is, when Dr. Gale told me what to do, I knew the meditation she wanted me to do, because it's one when I first started finding meditations on YouTube, which was that was more than 5 years ago. I used to do this one particular reader's. I'll give her a plug. Pura Rasa. She has a lot of meditations, and the one I did was connecting all the chakras back up. And when I crawled into bed, and Dr. Gale said, "Do it when you're going to sleep because it's going to put you to sleep." When I crawled into bed to do it, I thought, "Well, we'll see." And honest to God, I had physical sensations throughout the entire meditation. Just did pass out. Woke up Sunday morning thinking, "Oh my God, I have to get up and do Scott's show." And I had my cane right by the bed because my feet weren't working so good. And I turned over to get out of the bed, and my entire spine popped. Like when you're young and spry and you can get a good you can get a good adjustment. All
Hmm.
and I went, "Oh, now what's this going to feel like?" But when I got out of bed, I could walk. I still have the cane near me because when you've fallen down a couple times in 1 week, that's more than enough to give you religion. But I, I absolutely know that for the whole week, I don't know if I helped any of y'all, but for the whole week before, the throat was working fine. Everything else was offline. And I had not felt that way in so long. I didn't even recognize it when I fell into it. I couldn't even get the energy together to figure out what was wrong. And so now I'm back to basics and doing the things I know work every day to keep me going. And I'm really glad to be here, and
Well,
really glad. And I'd sent Terry this quote to do the show before that all happened. So I want you to know.
yeah, I'll pull that up. I want to say hi to a few people real quick.
Okay.
Dr. Gail is here. Speak of the devil, her ears must have been burning. And Jeffrey is here. Right, Keller, how you doing? Um, yeah, in Mexico City. So I think about you all the time down there. Debbie Shifting Gals, Linda Kennedy, Teresa Haldarian. I love seeing you. Hey, Darian. And oil painters here, Diana. So welcome everybody, and all those that haven't said hello yet in the physical. We know you're here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we were talking about that too. I I feel like I've been really having moments of disconnection. It's like in within 24 hours, and then really a lot of self judgment. about where I'm at and what I'm doing. And then the next minute, it's like spirit heard me, and all of a sudden, pow, um, things are coming through. But it's weird the energy that's coming in, and I feel like a lot of the subscribers have been feeling that way too.
Mm-hmm.
That or that's what they say that they are. Not that I feel that, but Sarah is like, yeah, so glad you're better, Nancy
Yeah, it
Jean.
really, it's just, and the thing is, a couple weeks before that, Dr. Gail had scanned my energy because I told her I was feeling a little bit off, and she saw everything together. It's like all of a sudden it it all fell apart. And I was talking to other readers at the time, and they were like, that sounds difficult, and it's not they didn't figure it out. First of all, I'm going to tell you, if you want to get in my energy, you have to have my permission. And so even if they wanted to come help, I wasn't going to let them.
Yeah, yeah. You got to ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that your throat chakra was still working because you are a very strong-willed person, and the throat chakra has that will there, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it's when I read about it, and the throat chakra part, that's part of the um, on my garden, it says throat chakra, and then it says truth.
Yeah.
You know, so some part of me was trying to hold on to what was true, and I think also, I think at the time that we caught it is when my third eye and my crown chakra were fading away. Not so sure how much you would have heard out of the throat chakra if they were totally gone, but um, it's a very humbling experience. I told Teri, the um, I was talking to my two guides, Frank and Addie, and I said, "Can't you guys stop me from falling?" And they said, "Not if you need to learn what the lesson is about being vacant, and you have to be there in your own spirit." And that's true. I mean, it's not like I woke up one morning and said, "Gee, I want to fall apart because the world's in terrible shape." It was just an old response.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Sarah Broyles is here. Artistic World from Ireland.
Oh,
Hello.
wonderful. We're in Ireland. My mother's family came from the West Coast, where the cliffs are, where the Irish have that problem of the men there get adult onset of juvenile glaucoma, and they go blind like overnight. It happened to one of my brothers, it happened to one of his eyes. And there's a famous play about men getting on their horses and just riding out of their houses frantically and going off the cliffs on their horses. It's a thing. And apparently it's a genetic problem in that part of Ireland. That's how I found out that is my mother's thought that's where they came from. Apparently that's where they came from.
Wow.
But those are the beautiful cliffs that they always show when they're showing pictures of the west coast of Ireland. And apparently, I have some. My mom said the village that they came from is still there, and part of my family still owns the pub, which seems totally appropriate.
I love that. Diana says the throat chakra is ruled by Taurus. Hi, White
And
Dragon.
I'm a Taurus. That's the last thing I'd let go of.
Yeah, right? Yeah. And let's see.
Cliffs of Moher. You're right. That's those cliffs.
Oh, wow.
And I have a friend that's been an old friend of mine, and she toured England, her in Ireland, and her kids took her. They took her to the cliffs of Moher, and when she was standing there, she said she could feel my energy standing beside her, and she said, "You and I lived there together once."
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
A
I
lot of
want
my past lives are Irish.
I could see that in you.
That leprechaun joy.
Yeah. Well, you're so connected to the
Oh
elementals and
yeah, that's
yeah.
why I like them so much.
Yeah, and
Hi,
Hogarth.
Angla. Angla's got interesting elementals. She's got trolls and gnomes up where she comes from.
Oh, I love that, Angla. Yeah. Yeah. White Dragon says my legal papers say I'm a Libra, but my real birthday, she's a Cancer, or they're a Cancer.
White dragon. It's a guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Tom. Good to see you. So welcome everybody. Do we want to? Yeah, leprechauns are cool, Judy. They're and the elementals are really coming in strong now, aren't they?
Oh, they're on their way. That may be part of why I had to get kind of regenerated and re-strengthened because uh, Cecil, my dragon, did come to see me,
Oh,
and he said it's okay.
oh, good, good. Um, okay, Linda says, please do not have peacock feathers in your home. Yes, they are beautiful, but will bring bad luck to your house and all who dwell therein. Oh, Linda, I hadn't heard that before.
Well, the only peacocks I knew is I worked on an estate in Dallas, and they had two peacocks, and those were the meanest birds. Loud, beautiful, loud.
Yeah, yeah. Judy says she had to take a week of solitude. Perfect. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, and we have felt like the energy on the planet is changing. We were talking about ley lines last week and
Right.
or a couple of weeks ago, and the energy, the crystalline energy, is changing so
Hmm.
much. And I do feel like our bodies are acclimating again differently. Like they keep showing me sturdy boots and standing in a warrior stance, kind of with your feet a little bit apart so that you can balance and get ready for the waves.
You're looking for a crystal. That's an obsidian.
Oh, that's
That's
beautiful.
a rainbow obsidian. There's no way I can show you this does this justice. If you take this out in the sunlight, there's all kinds of rainbows in it. All the crystals are laid out. It's a volcanic stone. It doesn't have crystals. It just has layers of color.
I thought obsidian was normally black, isn't it?
It is black. This is black.
Oh, it is
You
black.
can see the rings you can see in that.
Yeah, they're
Every one of those
beautiful.
rings, when you take that out in the sun, is a different color.
Wow. Yeah, somewhere here I've got my yeah, here it is. Keep
Take
one
it
on
out.
my desk
Take it
too.
outside and see if there's rainbows in it.
I will. I've never taken it outside, but I did
And
get
I've
that
tried
one.
black light on it, and I've tried other kinds of light on it. I cannot.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um,
Strawberry
Judy,
tourmaline's wonderful too.
yeah, Judy, I'd love that. That's beautiful.
Someday we'll do a show on tourmalines. I have all the different colors of tourmaline.
Dolly says she lives in Milwaukee and it's not far from the zoo. Sometimes the peacocks make a run for it and they end up in your neighborhood.
Oh yeah, there's nothing. It sounds like a woman crying for help. And so people who have them in their yards, the cops are always getting called to their houses.
Oh, somebody has on their YouTube channel, they've got a short or it's on Facebook and somebody screaming, "Let me out, let me out, let me out." It sounds like a woman. It's a
It's a
bird.
parrot.
Yeah, a parrot. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, right, white dragon, Ireland and Scotland. I always go to England because my brother lives there. We're usually, I mean, poor me, I just
Where
get
do
to go
you
to
where
England.
what part of England does he live in?
Nottingham.
Okay, yeah. It's your it's okay. Relative to Texas, everything in England is on top of each other. But when I went my husband, my second husband was English, and we went to visit his family, and they lived from York to Bournemouth. And we stayed in all their houses in London, and so one of them lived in a little village north of Milton Keynes called Yardley Go Byan. Can you imagine living in a place called Yardley Go Byan? And they had thatched roofed houses there, and I got to go visit some of them because they were their neighbors. And it's don't get me on that. That's a lovely memory. I have someday I'll do a show on the book I read that was a PhD project for a guy in 1917, where he went all over um, Celtic world, across Ireland and Scotland and into the northern part of France that had a lot of Celts. And he did living histories of people who could remember before the Industrial Revolution when the elementals were out, when they could see them in the woods, when they could see them dancing, when they would occasionally see the white horse with the horn standing in the middle of their things. And he interviewed people who, oh, grandma used to talk about that. But by the time he was interviewing people, the Industrial Revolution was well set in. That's what made the elementals go underground, was us being detached from our reality of being part of the earth.
Yeah. And people are seeing a lot of them again.
And they're freaking them out. And you'll see them, they'll glitter a little bit in the corner, or they'll run across. My favorites are the ones that like to fly across my kitchen lights, because I have these very contemporary, and you can see the shadow of them flying around on the lights. But they come in my office, and currently, clowns that live in my office, I want my deck back. They stole my bunny deck.
That's funny. Judy says, I have the cutest ogre with a ginormous heart. I love
Yeah.
that, Judy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, Gigi, how are you? So lots of people coming in now. Yeah. Sorry to hear about Finland net. Free Energy says, I'm not sure what that is. Or must be a conversation in there.
Oh, the Englas in Finland,
Okay.
and the Finland, they may have had problems. Russia's lashing out, and they are on the border with Russia. Anglo was my best sources when the Ukraine war started, because we couldn't get real figures about what was going on. And there's Anglo lives on the west coast of her western part of her country, so she's not gonna. Angla's safe. She's a safe soul.
Good.
But it's like living in the Middle East. It's a scary neighborhood.
I bet. I bet. Yeah. I know when Finland wanted to join NATO
They
and
did.
Ukraine. Yeah. And then they did allow, thank goodness they allowed Finland in. There's a
Oh,
show that I watch based on the beach there in Finland, and it's set back way when, I mean, I think the 1920s through the 1940s or something.
my favorite dragon story comes from Finland.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a young couple did what young couples do, and of course they cast the young male out into the hinterlands, but the punishment for the young woman was to be tied to the beach where the dragon could come out of the ocean and find her. And so everybody in the village, of course, had to come down and watch the show. So the dragon comes out and he says to them, who are the father and who are the teachers of this young woman? I want them here. I want them to witness. So the village went and got the father and whoever their spiritual leader of the village was. They came down to the beach. They're expecting a big show. They did. The dragon ate them. And he said, let the girl go. We learned from our elders. That's my favorite dragon story.
That's an amazing one. Yeah. That's a really good one. So the internet's been cut from Finland to Germany and Europe. I'm sorry to see that.
Well, I'm glad it's working for us, because
Yeah.
she's here.
Yeah, England's here. Thank goodness. Well, even if they cut the internet, I don't know how that works because you can still use your cellular a lot of times.
It's Wi-Fi. That's all part of the same structure. I'll ask Susan later. Engel, I'll ask Susan later and I'll let you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Best dragon story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've got a huge painting of a white horse in my living room, and it was done by a friend of mine, an artist who has passed away, but Billy did it before. He went into his studio for like 3 months, and he barely came out when he was sick, and everything he painted within that time structure was enchanted. And I swear that is an enchanted horse. And then my daughter, when she was riding, there was a white horse that looked just like this horse. And then that horse was taken away. And her riding instructor, who was Wiccan, of course. Anyway, she said her name was Silhouette, and they said Silhouette was not an earthling. She's gone, the galactic
sort of went somewhere one day.
Yeah. That's what happened. Yeah. Anyway, another horse story. So, oh, okay, we are going to read this.
Yeah,
Let me add
we
this to the
advertise
page.
it greatly. We're like Danny in the fourth question. Do you want me to read it or do you want to?
I'm happy to, or you can, whichever you'd prefer.
Well, you have a much nicer voice than I do, so you can read it. That's
Okay,
fine.
I'm happy to. I came across a quote that said, "You'll always be brave in someone's mind and coward in another's, strong to one and fragile to another, good to one and terrible to another. You will be seen as annoying to one and comforting to another. Some will feel anxious around you, and some will feel peace in your company. Some will see you as too much, and others will see you as a gift. The world will look at you from their subjective point of view. The world is never going to agree on a definition of who you are. So you might as well live the way that feels true to your heart."
Yep.
Yeah,
And that I got sent that in the middle of all being disconnected.
it's a beautiful quote.
And
Yeah.
it's really true. I think from the reader's perspective, a whole lot of people have gotten to see all of mirrors that people make of us, and all we are is us. So at the end of the day, when you go to bed, you just have to be you and true to your own heart. And what I did for this is I did a garden reading on, so you might as well live that way and be true to your heart. And I did a garden reading, which I'm going to. This is never quick. Okay. Ta-da, the garden. And I was so excited because stones rarely end up in the tree of life and the crown. But the stone that ended up there was clarity and simply said, when you have those stones, when the stone falls in the crown, you all will become clear. And when the clarity stone is in the tree of life, your path is blessed with clarity and wisdom. So that's where we start from. Then we go to the mind. And of course, that's the thing that always screws us up. Whenever we get in our mind, we're in all kinds of trouble. But in this time, the mind is in fire, which says, do not become tied to feelings from the past, because when the mind is in water, it's telling us to let go of limitations. I think when we try to live up the expectations of others, or even try to consider how they're going to see me, that limits us. So this stone's very true to us having a clear path ahead. Our body is being forged in fire. We're having right now to deal with a whole lot of, when things don't go the way we want them to, we always think somehow it's our fault. Let that go. But that's where a lot of us are sitting, and you're going to sit there, realize that's what's going on. Then I went to grounding, which showed up in the present, and that's a great place for your grounding to be, because it says our values are being purified now. And what happens to our spirit? Our spirit is we have a choice. Our spirit can either be our path forward, which is balance your energy and move ahead. And I think all of these stones speak to balance. Or we can choose false, which is spirit is not aligned with the situation. That means you can surrender to that and say, this isn't working for me, and I'm going to sit here and kick my feet up. I'm going to sit here and fall down on the floor and I can't get up. So I think it's true. We have to be true to our own heart. And that's sort of my message for the day.
So, what do you do when you feel like you're not being true to yourself? I know you talked about doing balancing your chakras and how
I
important that.
really need to do more meditating and basically really tying into the earth. When I was doing the seven chakra lesson, the last part of it was uh, to get back down to the root chakra and then send all that energy down and then have the roots grow out of your feet. And I I really could feel the roots growing down and being connected. And after it took a week of not being connected and floating around and holding on to a cane to stay connected to the earth, that I realized that I really, really need to work more on my grounding. I need to walk now. The weather's getting decent. It's not decent today. We're having terrible thunderstorms, but um, I will be going out. The next few days are going to be lovely climate wise. I mean, everybody in Texas is going to have their wool coats on. I'm going to be out there walking around in my short sleeves because I don't think it's cold. But I'm going to go walk around. I'm going to go out and have a long talk with Hogarth, my tree.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's on my ley line. That's how I found the ley line. And I'm going to start working with some of that stuff. But mostly what I'm working on right now is I've I put out a call. I've got 12 Oracle Gardens left from the original batch that I built, and when I sell these, they're gone. There will be no more Oracle Gardens until I said it out loud, until someone comes up and decides they want to make them, because they're not terribly, but there's a lot of pieces to it. You have to sort the stones, you have to put them in little bags, and I'm rewriting all the literature that goes with my Oracle Gardens. So if you have had an Oracle Garden, and I've sold about 200,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I'm going to be sending you I've completely rewritten and filled out the visions that I had. Every night when I was building the Oracle Garden, I had a vision for each space, and they're kind of interesting things. Sometimes it was in a mid-century modern house, but it was really falling apart, and people were in there frantically trying to hold it up. And when I got out of the house, I was in this beautiful garden with the sun above, and there was water and stuff. And that was what that, when you go into that space, that's what you're going into. You're going into old thoughts and things you don't need anymore. They all tie together, but you kind of have to see them all at once. And much as y'all would love to listen to me talk about it all day, I don't really think you want to. So then, and I'm going to, so I'm rewriting all those sheets. So anybody who had gotten those from me originally will get them again.
Oh, good. Yeah, I need to take a course in it. So I got one, and I had big ideas, but I'm definitely going to do it because I love them.
Yeah, I've a bit of money invested in courses I haven't quite finished.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Uh, Wayne, have a great day. He's going to run back to work.
Okay. And the
Julie,
other thing I'm
oh,
going
go
to
ahead.
say about the garden is anybody who's getting a garden now, I'm going to run a 5-week class on how to get familiar. There's a whole pattern to holding each stone and throwing it in the space and seeing what it says to you compared to what I felt about it. And there was a lot of people when we did that, it was very weird for them to tie to the stone and to just write down the first word they heard when the stone hit that spot. And so it's kind of it's a longer learning system, I think, than tarot, actually, because you can learn tarot stuff in chunks. This one, there's the 5 stones and there's each of the spaces, and you have to get to know each one. And I've been doing it. I know I created it, so I should know it right. No, I've been doing it, um, and I am just now beginning. Like, I understand when the mind flows between fire and water, you can hold on to the old stuff and you're going nowhere. But if you let go, you're going to have no limitations. And I'm beginning to understand and learn how all those pieces go together. So I'd love to teach it again, and I'm really excited about doing it. And you can find the gardens in my shop on www.crystaldirections.com. That's the only commercial we're going to have today, kids.
Okay. No, it's okay. Oil Pinner says she loves the garden, Caramancy Mesquite, and she used it together for readings on
Mm-hmm.
shows. Bosin likes the peacock feathers. Thank you, Bosin. And hello from New York. There's so it's interesting. I like, I'm just thinking, ding, 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 that this happened to you, and we had just done that show on the ley lines and all the crystalline energy and that on the earth.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like, I mean, I can just sense it, like the energy shooting up from the earth right now.
Yeah,
There's
they
just
were
a
definitely telling
lot.
me I was drifting in my connections, and there's I cannot there's and I've been changing my diet quite a bit,
Yeah.
and so we'll see how that goes. When I was at the doctor, I was down 10 pounds from the time I was there before, which I guess is something, and I'm within 20 pounds of my lowest weight ever, so I know that now it's really staying off.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Yeah. Um, but I do see us getting all that energy
Oh
from
yeah, yeah,
up
it's
above,
there.
and it's yeah.
And trust me, guys, when you're really in, and I'm like, can physically see and talk with the elementals that I know, um, they don't burn you out. They build you up. It's like when you have a really good set of readings and they make you feel stronger because you've attached that. Uh, they, I'm just warning you, they're little devils. I mean, they really like to play games. They are of the earth. They have more. They're not lovely, angelic. That's the first thing the elementals told me. Would you tell those people it's not an angel standing in front of them? I mean, they get really pissed about being screwed up with that because they are not angels. They are like we are, and will they will do vengeful little things. All those stories about snatching people away and taking their bodies and all that stuff. And if you
Yeah.
think about it, think about the Rip Van Winkle, who went to sleep for 200 years and came back. He was off with the elementals, and that's what people. We have a lot of fairy tales and legends about them that we don't think of as fairy tales. We don't think as of that realm being part of it. But they're very elemental. They're very centered to where we are, and when you get a feeling for them, you go, "Oh yeah, that's always been there." You know.
Yeah. There's who was the guy? I don't know if it was Gulliver's Travels or what it was, but the person that um he came across them and they were all about that big.
Lilliputians. That was Gulliver's Travels.
That was Gulliver's Travels. Okay. Yeah.
But that was an allegory to the politics of his time.
Oh, okay.
And
I,
we are Gulliver and they are that. Think about it that way when you think about what's going they are that.
yeah. Yeah. Sarah has a rule, no shenanigans in the house. I love that, Sarah. Yeah, because they do, don't they? They hide
Oh,
your books, they hide
they
your
move your
keys.
books, they move things around, they move the stones around in my office. I'll turn around saying, "Oh, I have this wonderful geode," and I turn around and it's gone. And in actual fact, I've been told it's not gone. They're shielding it. I can't see it. If I were to reach over, I might be able to feel it.
Yeah. They have hidden they work a lot with my dishwasher.
Oh, well, unfortunate for you. Don't get any ideas in the house.
Yeah, yeah. They tip your paintings,
That's
Judy.
true.
Yeah, and the light bulbs, they like technology. So, there's a lot coming in. Hey, D Spark, how are
And they
you?
were much better with the filaments lights to be able to blow them up on you. They do not do well. They don't like the lights we have now.
The new ones. Yeah, I had
Yeah.
an old filament in here and it popped right in the middle of a reading.
And your TV remote disappearing, that's true. The other thing that they'll do is, well, one time, if you have something, a crystal or a piece of jewelry that just disappears, it means whatever energy was in that is no longer appropriate for you. So they take them away. I've had a lot of friends who lost jewelry and they were like, um, I never found it again and it drifted off. And it's because you're not supposed to have that energy around you anymore.
You know, when you said that the other day, that was huge for me, Nancy Jean, because I lost um, a necklace that I'd had made from my old wedding ring. And it was, my husband passed and I lost it. And I thought, Well, this is I've been doing a lot of work on forgiving my husband and the grief and everything. And I felt like, I felt like a failure because I'd lost it, because it was an asset. Not
Mm-hmm.
only did it mean something, it was an asset. And I was kind of looking at, that's probably not a great way to look at it, but that it was also something that I owned that, you know, was worth something. But looking at it from the other side, that I was ready to let go of that. And sure enough, they sent me another ring.
They'll send you another ring, or they'll give you, if you get something back and you felt like, I was really, things were going a lot better, get rid of it. I mean, sell it, turn it into an asset, do what you can with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And they giggle as you gripe, Judy. No joke. Yeah.
Oh, I have an interesting story about a crystal. I had a lady who contacted me after, I think she saw me on Scott's show. But anyway, she had the opportunity to get a giant crystal out of the woods somehow. She knew park rangers or something. And she was thinking about building a portal into her house, to build a Zen portal for her home.
Yeah.
So she wanted to know from me, how do you move a stone? So she explained to me where it was. We talked on the phone. I told her to go rinse it off, clean it up, carefully bring it back to her house. And she had a landscape architect that was going to help her move it back to her home. And then when she got it to her own home, really wash it up for herself, really bless it with the things that she likes. And it'll take, and put it down. And when she was in the woods taking it to explain to the elementals, it was time for this to move on, and ask their blessings on it, and sort of say, it's going to be at my house. This is what I'm going to do with it. And so she had it in place. And the first night, she had it really in place outside her front door. Now, she lives in the Blue Ridge Mountains, which will explain part of this. But that night, on her ring, on her phone, on her,
Camera.
camera, a black bear ambles out of the woods, a big black bear. And he went straight from the woods to the stone, patted it, looked at it, kind of looked up at the ring, and then left. She sent me the video.
Wow.
And the elementals sent him out to go help them make sure. And I said, yeah, that stone's completely okay where it is now.
Yeah. Appalachian gremlins, Judy says.
Furry gremlins, very furry gremlins.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got a lot of coyote here that show themselves lately,
Mm-hmm.
which has been funny because we've always had a lot of deer. But and there's lots of sparkles in the bushes and things like that. I don't know about you guys, but like our neighborhood has so many fairy gardens now.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden, all the kids have them, and the
Mm-hmm.
houses, in front of the houses, everybody has a little fairy garden.
Mm-hmm.
Not everybody, but like at
We're
least every
building, we're
block.
creating space for them. They're coming.
Oh yeah,
Actually, they're supposed to really, really, truly, finally, like the floodgates open on the winter solstice this year.
really?
Yeah, that's when the ley lines are going to lock in place and stay straight and always be there. And that's what they use to move around the world. Those energy, that's like their superhighway.
Yeah. Well, I do feel like there's a lot of ancient beings coming out of the earth right now that
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're just aware of them now, but coming into being, but they're definitely waking up.
Well, our vibrations are high enough to see them.
Yeah.
That's a big, I mean, you can feel them a lot, but
Yeah.
to really see them and see them out there.
Yeah. Oh, Judy, your neighbors just put up a fairy garden. Yeah. And you are always catching a sprinkle out of your eye. My neighbor down the street, Bonnie, she's also a Sufi and really into the woo woo.
Mm-hmm.
And she has the fairy garden out front that she's had for years, and it's a big tree, and it's definitely on a ley line. And I've got a big tree behind me that's on the ley line, the way it goes through our town. But but she's always had all sorts of toys around it for the little ones and and for
Mm-hmm.
the fairies and whatnot. But yeah, Oh, I love this. D-Spark, I am an awakening stone goddess.
Cool.
Yeah, the rock people are so loud. I was listening to somebody talk about this, and I might have already said this, but about that there are beings living within the tectonic plates, like
Right.
not just in spirit, but also there's like organisms living inside there,
Mm-hmm.
which I thought, because I always feel like those rock people come from the tectonic plates and that they're gently moving. So when we do meditations, and a lot of times we'll go through the earth and ground, um, I always feel the tectonic plates in motion, and I try to send them very gentle energy so
Yeah,
that they move.
very gentle. And if it's south of the Red River, don't send them any energy at all. I don't like when the ground moves.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Um,
Can you
anyway,
highlight Judy? She's the second to the bottom. How do you find ley lines?
oh,
Not boom boom. That one. I don't
okay.
know about boom boom. Um, ley lines. I said this to a architect who had gone through a period of time where he kept running into houses that were on ley lines, and you don't want your house on a ley line. A ley line is an enormous amount of earth energy that moves through, and in the case of one house, he had to help them fix. The teenage daughter had moved in the room that the ley line went under, and she had a lot of relatively serious health problems until the mother said she got a flash something was wrong. So she brought him in. This guy's also an Akashic Records guy, besides being an architect. And when he got the call on this, he happened to have a Peruvian shaman sitting in his office. So they went over and looked at the house, just as you do, you know.
Yeah,
Um, they went over and looked at the house and they identified it. And so they used crystals to redirect the ley line away from the room. But they strongly suggested to the mother that the girl move out of the room. She moved out of the room, got well almost immediately. So the mother said, I'm selling this house. I don't want to have a room that has that stuff in my house. So she designed another home. But just before she built this one, she said, um, I'm going to have this checked out. So he came out, and sure enough, ley line went right through the living room. So they had to take the design of the house and shift it on the property. And they had the ley line go through the front yard. But if you don't happen to know an Akashic Records guy who's also an architect who has a Peruvian in his office, the other way you can find ley lines is um, he said go out in the woods. Now in Texas that's tough unless you're in East Texas, but he said go out and look at the trees, and you're going to find a tree. It's going to have burls, you know, those things that grow on them that look like branches that didn't quite make it.
yeah.
And I thought, well, I haven't seen one of those around me in a long time. And at 3 days after he told me, I walked out and there was one across the street, across the entry drive to where I live. I mean, and you have never, that's Hogarth. You have never seen such a burly tree. Let's see. I think I have a picture of Hogarth. Hogarth. Okay. Let's see if he's going to show up. Can you show him, Terry?
I got it.
Those marks are burls. And that is the burliest tree I've just about ever seen in my life. And that's Hogarth in bloom in the spring. But see where the grass doesn't grow? That's
Hmm.
what the ley line is because there's so much energy it kills the grass. And
And oh, go ahead.
well, anyway, so I found Hogarth, and then there's a whole line of trees, but Hogarth's not in direct line with any of them. And Hogarth, the trail for the ley line goes back into the creek that if you're sitting is to the right of Hogarth. And in that creek, you can see several trees with burls on them, and that's where the ley line runs. Um, and so I went out and I said, okay. So I went out with my dowsing. I took a pendulum. I have a heavy pendulum. It's made out of metal. And I walked along and I found the boundaries of this. And this was 2 years ago. That boundary has grown from being about 2 feet wide to being about 5 feet wide. And I couldn't find the edge part of this spring. And I'm going to send you another picture, Teri.
Okay.
And I said, Hogarth, I can't find, there it is.
Okay.
Okay. I said, I can't find the edge of the ley line anymore. And he said, come back tomorrow and they'll send you something to show you where it is. This teeny tiny little turquoise blue leaf, that's not distorted, but that's the color it was. And I found that one, and I kept coming back and checking on it. It was there for 3 weeks, including 2 mowings. By the way, guys, that's what the ground looks like in Texas. Yes, it is that dry. And that little blue leaf was there. And then one day I went to this curb and I found it had broken off and it was lying in the dirt. And so I wrapped it up and I have it now. But that was to tell me where the edge of the ley line was. And it has expanded enormously. And I'd been hearing from Rory Duff, Rory space Duff. And he was saying that all the ley lines are expanding and that his group has gotten a message that they need to be all the major big ones, and I'm talking about big ones, need to be really connected by this winter solstice because they're going to lock, they're going to lock into a place, and that's the beginning of the earth change.
Wow.
And when I went out, that picture you had of Hogarth with Hogarth blooming, I went out the day before and it had been plenty warm enough for Hogarth to have some leaves. And he had a few on top, but he didn't have anything below him. And I said, why aren't you getting your green leaves out of your things? And he said, come back tomorrow. And so I went back the next day and this is what he looked like. And I said, is time changing? And he said, yes. And I said, that fast? Because you saw how dry the ground was.
Yeah.
That's a lot of growth to get out of dry ground. And he said, yes, that fast. Everything is changing that fast. And since then, that was summer equinox. No, that was spring solstice. Since then, it's been there.
Yeah. I think
a lock on the 21st of December.
Yeah. I couldn't remember if it was 21st or 23rd. Yeah. So I've noticed so many trees that have these burls since we've been talking about this, and they also have a huge root system that's coming up.
Right.
Like it's another tree, and it's magical. It looks like a dragon, a lot of them. And I think the dragons and the trees have quite a connection.
And along that strip where Hogarth is are other trees of the same kind. And they're stick straight and they look like the ones you used to draw when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And I've tried to do a watercolor of Hogarth. I can't do it. I mean, I haven't given up completely, but I'm close. There's so much energy in Hogarth, and there's so much. That's where the burls come from. Their roots collect up so much energy that they can't use it all for the growth the way they need to. So they create those things to put the energy somewhere.
Yeah. There's that's interesting. It's pretty amazing how much crystalline energy is out there, and so if you're feeling out of sorts, you guys, it's a new way to ground with this crystalline energy. So it's going to look different. It's going to feel different. Also, it's going to sound different. Like even they keep showing me the ears and the frequency changing. And
that's the ringing people hear in their ears.
Yeah. And the ringing has changed. It's like there's a definite different tone to it.
Mine was an artifact from surgery when the last surgery I had, when I woke up, I heard ringing in my ears, and I went in, I gave it 6 months, and then I went in and they kind of said it was not a bug anymore. It was now a feature of being me. But I'm very fortunate because mine sounds like river, like a brook off in
Yeah.
the distance. And it's just enough noise that my world is never quiet.
Yeah. Well, because the universe isn't quiet, right? Frequency
No.
has sound. So all energy has some sort of a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it's pretty amazing. Um, and Coastal Crone says a deeper tune since election for you.
Yeah, talk to Danny Shea. He's about to. The one the effect Danny has that makes me nuts is he feels like he's got a cube inside his eye, and when he moves his eyes around, he can feel it. I'm not sure I could live with that for very long.
Wow.
He says, then it goes away.
Yeah.
Then he sees everything okay. I mean, he sees fine. It's anyway.
Yeah, vision has changed for me too. It's not it's because you can see the in between now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think part of that's unconditional love, like trying to bring unconditional love to everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And still having boundaries, but having unconditional love for
Mm-hmm.
everyone on the universe in the universe. But but that changes everything too. So we didn't really we brought this up a little bit backstage, but talking about the abyss and how going into that in between right now,
Mm-hmm.
watching both sides of everything. Yeah, multi-dimensional vision. Thank you, D Spark. That's the way to put it in like what I say in a half an hour into one into 3
Yeah, I know.
words.
You're like me, Terry. I know there's a word for that, but I'm
Yeah,
going to describe the whole phenomena.
yeah, yeah. And it is a deeper tune since the election. It so it's weird how sometimes we get a reset and it'll be a world event. Like the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic was a world event and it was a total reset. And I feel like a lot of us found went within and had a huge growth period.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are given another opportunity for a huge reset. Maybe. We don't know. But but
This time, the reset may seem to be something that has to happen outside, but it actually is inside. It's the last quote of that um, thing I sent you. You have to be true to your own heart.
that that is so true. I feel like this reset is definitely about um unconditional love and loving ourselves number 1.
Yeah, because you can't go out, you can't give away something you don't have.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
can fake it until they knock you down. So, um, really get in touch with that. And, when people say you're great, great. And when people say that doesn't do much for me, that quote has never affected me. When I do readings and people said, I can't relate to that. And I'll go, well, go live your life for a bit and see where you get to. One thing I've never done, I've never apologized for reading, because I can just give you what I have. I have always been true to that. And what some of the readers, the kind of self-flagellation, and that's how they had to handle it. But man, I was sitting there going, don't come to looking for me, because I don't talk politics much, but I do on Sunday mornings.
Yeah. Well, clarity of speech is huge for everybody, I think, right now,
Mm-hmm.
or even more important than it has been in the past. It's always been important. And clarity of what you say to yourself and what we hear ourselves say to ourselves
Yeah.
is huge. So,
But I'm giving everybody a gift in December. If
oh,
you subscribe to my channel, you'll get notifications. Terry's going to be part of this. A bunch of the people that are in the chat, and guys, I was going to get you all organized this weekend, but as we know, things went awry. I got this advent calendar from my daughter, and it's a stone and a crystal. And if you know what an advent calendar is, there's one for each day of the month for 1 to 24. And when I was a little kid, they were filled with candies and cookies and really bad stuff that no, they were great. They tasted great and I loved every minute of it. But it keeps you, I always thought it was a way to keep us out from under the Christmas tree until Christmas. But my gift this year is to try and bring a reader on, a sensitive, a person from I've met in my journey from here to there. Will cross my 4th year anniversary. My 4th year anniversary is December 11th. While I'm doing this, and it's just a chance for us to have kind of a little party every day, getting ready for Christmas, and it's just going to be to distract us from thinking about other stuff, or to not. My daughter said, "You're not going to distract anybody. You're going to focus them in on what's important, because each one, it's crystals and fossils and minerals, and some of you can start to learn, more about them if you want to see." So if you're interested in that, you have to go over and subscribe on my channel, and you will get a notice every day. And they're going to be pre-recorded, but they're going to be run as a premiere, which means I will be there. And I don't know, Teri, what time do you think is a good time to run a premiere like that?
Would you want to do? Do you want to do mornings?
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, as long as it's not before 11 o'clock my time, because
that's what I was thinking. I'd make it either late morning or early afternoon. Linda G always says 3 o'clock is the magic number. It doesn't matter what time zone you're in. 3 o'clock.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about if I was going to do 11, I'd do 11:11. A blessed number.
I think that's beautiful.
Okay.
I love that. 11:11.
And I'll try to cut that stupid intro that they will not let you run a premiere without. I found one that's really pretty good.
Oh, good.
The one they had, the wang, 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 when all the numbers.
Yeah.
Like, how fast can I get away from this? So it'll be 11:11 in the morning from the 1st of December to the 24th at 11:11 Central Time, because I can do a whole lot, but I cannot make us all be on the same damn clock. If I could, it would have happened 4 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't matter, does it? It's kind of the intention. But the numbers are well, the magic in the numbers, if it's in a different time zone. Yeah. Because it is magic. And it's funny how that's just become more prevalent. But you guys, there's so many synchronicities happening right now, and we're all noticing them. And it's that crystalline energy. And I mean, our bodies are made of stardust, and so is the earth. So
that's right.
Yeah.
And when you hold any stone, it has a vibration, and some stones are really blessed. If you're having a little trouble getting grounded and you happen to have a bloodstone in your collection, get a hold of it. Bloodstones are they're very important right now for grounding.
Okay. I thought you were going to say shungite.
Shungite's good. Shungite's good too. But shungite's for shielding energy away from you. The bloodstone lets the earth energy flow to you.
Okay.
Those are the little tips and tricks you're going to pick up between the 1st and the 24th.
Yeah. I love that, because I've got all these stones around here, but I'm not always sure what everybody does. But I can tell when I touch it what it feels like. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I love that, D Spark. We hold the ultimate stone, spark of the divine.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. White dragon. The moon, Mars, and Jupiter are aligning to Orion today. I think it's an important
Orion. It's Orion.
Oh, thank you. I'm not
the one that's got the 3 stars in the sky, and that's the guy hunting the lion.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Oh, some guy like oil painter. It's always 5 o'clock somewhere to buffet.
Right. Yeah. 5 o'clock somewhere. No joke. Well, thank you so much for being here, Nancy
Well,
Jean. This
I
has
think we
been
wandered
fun.
all over the place and covered a lot of stuff, and
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing everyone.
Yeah. So we'll be back at another couple of weeks on same time, 11
Yeah.
o'clock on Mondays. We do this every other week. And be sure and subscribe to Nancy Jean's channel. It's in the information on this
In the,
show
in
on
the
my channel.
chat.
But yeah, make sure you do. So, oh, Dolly says he's like an old friend, Orion.
Yeah, where Jeffrey lives, you see Orion all the time because he's that close to the equator.
I'll tell you what, Mexico City is a magic city. I love the energy there. So it's just beautiful. All right, everybody. Well, have a great day. Hope everybody does well. And we will see y'all later.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye.